So I'm here today in this episode with Scott from the Proper Blokes Club. I'll let Scott explain, but an amazing story as to how it came about and how it's now changing lives. Certainly for me and Man-Made Mojo, we're all about increasingly building networks of all the incredible organizations doing great work for men. And Scott and his colleagues are very much part of that. So so Scott, if you want to tell us a bit about yourself and how the Proper Blokes Club started.
Yeah, so thanks for the introduction. I'm Scott. I'm the founder of the Proper Blokes Club. It's men's mental health, well-being, physical activity group, I guess. And we started officially in September 2020 with our first walk at Southwark, with me waiting on the Thames Path for thousands of lads to come down and get involved and start talking openly about how they're feeling. Nobody turned up, and it was slightly disheartening until 15 minutes late. One lad was running towards me. He said, "Scott, is this the walk-in group?" And I was, "Yeah, it's a walk-in group." And obviously, I thought there was going to be loads of lads on there because with social media, it could be slightly different, you know. Like, I posted up loads before, got loads of engagement. Yeah, I want to do this, but it's great doing it behind the screen. But actually getting down and doing it is a completely different thing, you know, which I now know. Then I didn't, Jackie's name came to the first walk, and then we was out for about 3-4 hours. It was ridiculous. Like, it was something we both really needed at the time. And then we posted our first group photo. We're quite visible on social media, and that's, we want people to be really open and honest about how they are, and really sort of paving the way for the rest of us, you know. And then we've done the first group photo, me and him, and posted it up on the local Facebook group. And then next week, 2 new lads turn up, and 2 new after that, and 2 new after that, and fast forward really quickly, 4 years later, we have 14 walks a week in London, around 350 lads involved. We have around 120 actually participating physically on walks each week, and yeah, we're still growing, you know. And it's definitely opened my eyes to listening to people's stories, you know. Like, there's some incredible people I've met along the way so far, you know, that are so much stronger than they actually think. And if what we're doing is allowing lads to open up and it helps them, then it's a win-win, you know. And long may that continue.
Absolutely, no, brilliant. It's incredible to hear about the story and the start where, you know, you're there and you've gone out and done something. You think you're maybe anyway, and then no one turns up. It's like the classic case of anyone starting anything, and then thankfully someone did turn up, and then it's just blossomed from there. So well done for doing it. And tell us a bit more about the impact that you've made. So if we can, you might want to talk about specific case, obviously without naming unless you and they wish that, but some cases or just overall numbers about the impacts of the effects of the groups.
Yeah, it's been varied, really. We've had from maybe like the smaller cases where people have made new friends from it, you know, and then we go to the very tail end, the other end of the scale, where it's actually their words saved their lives, in a sense. It's come along at the right time, or people point them in the direction of what we're doing at the right time, or it might be fate, where they've scrolled through social media at a time when they're in need, and all of a sudden they see all these blokes, happy faces, going for a walk, and you know, and they've found it at the right time. But it's the impact has been amazing, and like I was saying, it's been varied, but every single person that's come along has taken a positive from it, you know. And whether it is the real big scale of it, where it's actually pulled someone back from taking their life, you know, and obviously causing a lot more issues amongst their families and that stuff like that. With that, you know, it's not just the person that does it; it affects all the way to someone that's got an improved relationship now, you know, or they've started a new job, and they can talk to other people about that in a non-judgmental environment where they're not going to be made fun of or anything like that, you know. So yeah, there's been some amazing turnarounds, and it is weird because before starting this group, I wasn't the most sociable of people, you know. Like, I had my friends and I was stick in my group and that would be it, you know. I wasn't really interested in listening to other people or being friends with other people. I had my group, you know. But since starting this, I've been pushed out my comfort zone, you know, and I love it. I love hearing the stories of every guy that comes down, you know, and especially seeing them for the first time and then seeing them weeks, months, sometimes years, in some cases, that have been there from the very beginning of the group. Their life has changed tenfold for the positive because of their commitment to this. You know, this ain't, look, this you can go and pay £200 for a counsellor an hour, or you can come down to us. The results, the end of the same. You have to do the hard work. You know, like, they can probably give you different ways of getting to where you need to go, you know. But all these guys, whenever they come to me and say, Scott, thanks for setting this up, etc., I always say, look, yeah, I might have set it up, but you've done the hard work. You know, you've come every week, you've opened up, you've started these conversations, you've listened, you've been there for people, you've made those positive changes in your life that's benefited them and their families, you know. So yeah, there's been a wide range.
You can take the horse to water, you can't make it drink, right?
Exactly, 100%. Yeah.
So and as you've shared your in your introduction, and also what you've shared now about the stories and the impacts, the kind of the angle that I and we are coming at this from is that the two classic statements we grow up with is man up, boys don't cry, right? And the other things that happen are that naturally, broadly, women wipe the floor with us on communication and openness. Yeah. Whereas with us, we just don't do it. And the other thing that we find that completes this perfect storm is emotional literacy. It's just a skill or a language or a quality that they're better at. And I know I'm generalizing, but you might say blokes are more, say, task focused and analytical, whereas on this sort of thing, if women have strength, this is very much in their zone of strength. And all of that put together, is your mic rubbing against something?
No.
Yeah, I think it's there we go, it's a bit clearer. All of those things, when they come together, create a perfect storm. And the heartbreaking statistic is that, as you probably know, is 70% of suicides are men. So all of those things are the fuel behind what we're doing. And is that similar for you and your kind of where you come from and your experience?
Yeah, it's a funny one, actually, because I never really had any male influences in my life. My dad weren't about or nothing like that, so I was just brought up by very strong women. But I definitely agree with what you say in terms of they're a lot more better at communicating. I'm still trying to work on that to this day, you know, and I think it'll be forever worked on. But I think it's got a lot to do with what you see when you're growing up, when you could probably look back and you'd see a lot of the female members of your household all gathered around in the kitchen or wherever in the house, just chat. And then if you look at what men were doing, and even when you go into your sort of early adult life, like the most conversations you'd have might be down the pub or something like that, where the music's too loud, they've had too much to drink anyway, so it's all rubbish, we're chatting anyway, and we can't hear half of the things that are being said. So they're a lot better at communicating, and I think a group like ours, and like lots of other groups as well, we're trying to normalise these conversations, you know, because it's like we're crazy about fixing things, and I think that's what worries us half the time, is when we're thinking, I don't know if I want him to tell me what's going on in his mind, because in my head straight away I'm thinking, I need to fix that problem. You know what I mean? That's what you used to think. You think, I have to fix all these problems that's going around, but you don't have to. You know, all you need to do is just lend your ear. You know what I mean? Some people just want to talk about stuff. So I mean, and I think that's what women have been doing since the dawn of time. You know, they've been doing that really well. They ain't fixing problems for each other. They're just going at each other and talking and just releasing that. So they don't carry that sort of emotional backpack of just putting stuff in it constantly. You know what I mean? We fill that up until the point that we just go like that, gosh, we fall over, and then that's when we end up doing something that we probably end up regretting. You know, how that might manifest for individuals. You know, like we just have outbursts, and I think that's just how men react to things. You know, they get to a certain point, and it's usually aggression. How that comes out, you know, it's different for everybody. But I think definitely at the club, we're definitely seeing a big improvement of a lot of lads how they communicate. And the good thing about it as well, mate, is that we've got people in 50s, 60s, 70s talking to people that are 20, 30, 40s, you know, like all these different generations. And now I'm at the back of it and I'm listening to them talking. I'm thinking, this is amazing, you know, like you can never, you can always teach an old dog new tricks, I guess, you know.
Incredible. And
Yeah.
the few things there is that, say, in yours is the example where you didn't have that male role model. And sometimes people can have the males around them, so to look around and you know the family tree is full of men, but actually in terms of the relationship and the presence of that positive, now positive as in someone to live up to, but positive as in upbeat and glass half full, in terms of a father or an elder brother, or people don't have that. A lot of guys don't have that. And so it's wonderful to think that kind of is there to meet those needs. And again, because of some of the things we discussed earlier, you're not going to get, I mean, we're terrible at going to the doctors, let alone doing stuff like this. And so it's brilliant that you're there to do that and kind of create that space. And I love when people pop along, it's the proper Blokes Club. We'll obviously share all of that in the notes and everything. When you go along, it obviously doesn't present as a very heavy thing, but clearly we all know, whether you're male or female or neither, that men need to talk, and so it's a great environment. So I'd like to know, and for everyone to know as well, a bit more about your story, and if you wouldn't mind being vulnerable enough to share about your toughest times.
Yeah, definitely. Like I can't go back to any negative times in my childhood. Really, I had a really sort of good childhood, really good upbringing. Like I said, I was surrounded by loads of women. You know, I was doted after quite a bit. But all my stuff started on the birth of my first child. It was in a relationship that I shouldn't have been in, really. And yeah, once the relationship broke down, it was in and out of the court process for, yeah, so I still haven't seen her now. Last time I saw her was 7 years ago now, but I had 2 other children after that with my mate's partner, and it went through the same scenario. What I didn't realise looking back at it is that the first one had messed me up mentally so much, because like I said, I just put the stuff in the backpack. No, it wasn't bothering me. No, I'm going to see him soon, whatever.
Carrying it. Yeah.
And what I found is that she showed me affection that I didn't have. You know, like I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel self-worth, I guess, you know. And it could have been anybody that would have said that to me, and I would have jumped all over it. Do you know what I mean? Because I was sort of starved of love to a certain degree, you know. And then we got together, had our children and that. But even then, once I was going through it, like it was just like, what am I doing here? But I was just going through autopilot, you know. Like my brain was just in a complete different world, you know. So it was 2 really bad relationships, but ended with 3 beautiful girls, you know. And yeah, that was a real difficult period of time, you know, like and I know there's a lot of our lads that are going through that problem, you know, going into that court system for that long period of time. You get to see how the system works. You get to see how many people are going through it, you know, like it was like a revolving door shop in the family courts where I went in Holborn. It was 6 floors, about 5, 6 courts on each of them, 8 till 5, non-stop. You know, like packed. You know what I mean? And you think you're probably about 80% of these people that need to be in it. Do you know what I mean? But the rest, yeah, it's a difficult thing with children, isn't it? You know. But yeah, I originally started the group for dads. That was my sort of mission, you know, because I saw a lot of these dads going through all this stuff, and I thought, this ain't right. You know, this is something needs to be done about it. You know, and
there's a big push on fathers' rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I didn't want to do the father for justice route. I didn't want to do any of the other sort of groups. I thought they're a bit militant, you know. But look, if they're getting the message out there in their way, that's absolutely fine, you know. It wasn't until when I came out of the court system actually that I sympathised with some of the judges and some of the people who was in there, because if I put myself in their shoes and I'm sitting there and I've got a mum and a dad who's looking at me saying he's done that, she's done this, they're complete different stories, no evidence backing it, you're going to keep the status quo, aren't you? You're going to say, no, well, I'm going to set the kid's safe here with whichever parent it is. Why am I going to say no, go to the other side there? Because if something happens when you make that decision, who's going to look bad then? You know, a big storm comes down on the justice system and they don't want that bad press today.
Yeah, and the individual judge that makes that call, as you rightly say, the fingers point at them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so all of that was going on, and that was a big head, like, just messed it up, you know. Like, I was feeling lots of different emotions then, and that actually, that's funny, but that manifested into gambling habit, which I'm now a year and a bit off of now.
A gambling habit.
Yeah. So I started gambling quite a lot. And that was just filling the void, you know. That was a distraction from what the problems were. Boozing a lot as well, you know. I was a big binge drinker, but I'm thankfully I'm seeing my two youngest daughters now, and I am year and a bit off of gambling now. I'm 8 months off the booze, and I'm in the best space that I've ever been, you know, like removing those negative things from my life and then realising control the controllables, you know. Like, I can't change things, just happen. I can't make my daughter want to see me, you know. I can't make the mum change her mind of how she said things to her about me which was untrue. I can't change any of that, you know. All I can do is try and be the best person I possibly could be for my daughters that I see now, for the two boys that my partner's got as well. And just try and be a good influence for the kids that I'm seeing at the moment, and obviously the two boys, and try and be the best partner I can be, you know, which I struggle with sometimes, you know. I'm trying, and yeah, it's a whole lifestyle shift, you know. Like, I've had a lot of change over the past year. Definitely the last year has been a massive change in a lot of aspects, and I've never felt more mentally on point, you know. So from where I was to where I'm now is a massive change, and it stems from just identifying that this isn't a right way of feeling, you know, and I need support for it, you know. Like it definitely it's okay not to feel okay, but when you feel like that, get the support. Don't just sit on it. You know what I mean? Don't just wallow on it, you know, and think, oh, right, it's all right not to feel okay, and then you don't do nothing about it, and you feel all right 2 days later, and you go down again. You keep going up and down, up and down, up and down.
You say, sorry, I'm coming in. What would you say guys should do? Because obviously, I personally don't think there's anywhere near enough support, or there's structured support. Things are improving, and so what would be your suggestion for what people should do?
Well, it depends what your poison is, you know. Like, mine was I had an issue with gambling. I went to an organisation called Gam Care, absolutely amazing, self-referral, filled it out, had a call 24 hours later, got counselling with those guys probably 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks maximum after that. Amazing support, and I can still reach out to those guys now. Obviously with the drinking and stuff,
was online or in person?
In person. No, tell a lie, online. Sorry, online. I wanted to do in person, but logistically it just didn't work out and stuff like that. But I was really lucky in the sense that I had a counsellor that hit the nail on the head straight away and had a positive relationship with that person. But I know some people that have gone through that route where they say, oh, I've tried counselling, it didn't work. I go, oh, how many sessions do you have? I had one. Well, I was like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board and see what we can do, you know.
It can be a chemistry thing, right? With
100%, yeah.
It's like dating, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Expecting results, that's in anything. One session does nothing.
Yeah. Like, you definitely have to find the right fit, and that's what I'll definitely say to other people. You know, like the first thing I would say is that whatever your issue is, there's lots of amazing organisations out there that don't get the publicity they deserve, and that's obviously all down to money and stuff like that, where they can't billboard everywhere, where they can say about their amazing services, but a Google search will probably narrow that down for you. You know what I mean? So I'd say, look, do that route first. Then open up to some people around you. You know who your real friends are when you're in a real not a great space, you know, and you open up to people around you. If there's people there that don't support it, I'm quite ruthless with it. I would say remove them. Do you know what I mean? Because you cannot have negativity around you. You cannot. You know, like it won't be good. They'll never change. You know, like we can always hang on to them. You know, and say, oh, no, they're all right on this. Nah, just you got to be really ruthless with it, and you got to be really determined to want to change as well. Because I had scenarios where I lost a bit of money, and it was like, oh, I need some support. I need to change. Went and got the appointment, saw him for a week, and then buffed straight back into it the week after. I wasn't at my rock bottom yet, you know what I mean? But then it wasn't until later on, obviously, where I just had a moment where I just thought, nah, this has to stop now. And that was my sort of rock bottom, you know. And then I really committed to it.
Tell us a bit more about the rock bottom.
Well, I can remember it vividly. It was in October. October, nearly 2 years ago now. I was in Romford. I was at dinner around my missus' mum's house, looking at my ACCA, so my accumulator, the football one. Lost. It was about 9:30. I knew it was like 10, and I thought, I need to get out of it quickly. I need to get to the bookies quickly. You know, like it's really just really mad feeling. I was really just to leave all these people here and go. Went down there and I lost the last bit of my money. And I came out and I was just standing on the edge of the road and I thought, like, this ain't life. I can't do this no more, you know, because there was like a Wetherspoons over the other side of the road. That was usually my go-to, you know, like I'll gamble, lose, pub, drink, and then back and forward. You know what I mean? They just complemented each other. And
no power. It was like a vicious circle.
Oh, mate, it was ridiculous. Yeah, definitely. And then I hated everyone else. You know, it's everyone else's fault that I was an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, no, I just had this weird moment. Like, I didn't have any feelings left in my body. Like, it was numb to everything. And then yeah, that's when I reached out to Gamcare. You know, I just at my very very end, like I just had no more left in me to live that lifestyle anymore. You know, and it was a weird feeling because it was a feeling of, oh, you failed in this old gambling malarkey. You know, you didn't succeed in it, which is crazy to think. But then it was a feeling of relief that I've actually made the decision that I'm coming away from it. You know, it was a really weird feeling, and that's when obviously I reached out. I'd done that self-referral, so I knew I'd done it before. Probably about a year or so before, and then yeah, thankfully I got my support because I always say to people, like, I was never suicide was like quite strong for me to say, but I had a lot of feelings of I didn't want to be here anymore. But how that manifested, I don't know, because I was very much I'll just pack my bag and leave everyone here, just go, and where that would have ended or where that would have led to or anything like that, I'm unsure. But yeah.
Right. So you never got. Sorry, you with your microphone moving around in the hand. I'm getting bits of rustle. So it didn't get as far as, and I'm not a counsellor or a specialist, but you got to the point of thinking who you are, the life you have now. You're done with it, but you didn't get as far as actually thinking of taking your life.
It's really difficult to explain. You know, like I never just not being here anymore felt better. You know, that decision felt better.
That felt like
that felt like the option. But like I said, I don't know how that would have manifested. You know, whether it would have been run away or it would have gone the other way.
Yeah, you didn't have the answers, but you knew what was there.
Yeah, I wanted to get away from this because I felt I didn't feel in control of it. I felt out of control of my own life. And yeah, it was a horrible feeling. It was a scary feeling, you know. But thankfully, thankfully I did get the support, you know, and whether there was only a small window of opportunity for me to grab that before I went into a darker spot, who knows, you know. But I'm really grateful that I did reach out and get that support when I really desperately needed it, you know. And and I was really lucky actually. So now I'm doing a little bit of work with GamCare now via the group that I've got now. We've done a little bit of filming the other day, and I met my counsellor for the first time face to face while we was filming.
Wow.
And yeah, it nearly got a little bit emotional because I thought, like, yeah, you're the lad that probably in theory I reckon saved my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're looking at the bigger picture. And yeah, I was very grateful to actually meet him and shake his hand in the flesh.
And what you said earlier is that when a man is in that position at that darkest time, at the lowest of the low,
mm-hmm.
and I was just actually having a conversation with someone who came over, and we got into a conversation actually, conversation. He was just saying that all you can see is darkness. You know, you cannot see anything positive. You can't see a solution. You can't see how life could be better. So when someone's at that point in the UK, certainly the Samaritans is there, and you know, the US and other countries will have their own organizations. But I would say reach out, and don't be afraid of being judged, because you won't know the person. They are trained specialists. So if it ever gets that bad, the first thing I'm going to do is validate what you're feeling. So you shouldn't be ashamed of it, because we all go through ups and downs. We have enough ups and good times. But when we have our downs, it's okay and it's valid.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge yourself, don't get down on yourself. And then there are specialists there. So reach out and spot testament. I've had professional help when I've needed it. My story's on our website. And you know, the help is there. A phrase that my cousin shared with me is, "This too shall pass." Now, we know that it doesn't all end well, and we know about the male suicide stat, but I guess that's the whole point of why we're here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I've heard of that saying as well, and it's a really powerful one, isn't it? You know, because it's another one I use, the Winston Churchill one, isn't it? When you're going for a storm or a bad time, wherever, just keep going. I think it's when you just stop in the middle of that. That's when all the chaos is going on. You know, I think keeping going and keep pushing forward, you know, and these things, like you said, they will pass. You know, they will pass. They're never permanent. You know, like there's always I'm a great believer there's always a positive solution to all of our issues. You know, I think you just have to really, really want to see it. And I think surrounding yourself with as much positive people as possible, whether that's one or whether that's 100 people, whatever it is for yourself, you know, like you could just feed off their energy. You know, everyone. I put a post out today on our socials about try and avoid drains and be with radiators. You know, like we want to be around people that radiate that positive energy. You know, there will be people that are trying to suck it from you. But
that's it. I love that. They're both made of iron. So
yeah.
The drains are made of iron, and they'll drain you. And the radiators are made of iron, and they'll warm you up and give you positivity.
Exactly. Yeah. Just yeah. There's a lot of truth to that, you know. And I always said, yeah, just surround yourself with positive people. You know, like that's a massive positive. You know.
Yeah, my motto now is that everyone has to earn a seat at my table. Now the other side of that is I have to earn a seat at their table. So things work both ways. And
yeah.
I think something you spoke about earlier is responsibility. And when you do that, of course, you point one finger at the other person, one above, and three at yourself. And it's that responsibility. And so my area of growth, certainly for the last few months, has been responsibility. So no matter what happens, now clearly if we get hit from behind when we're driving, then you've got to try and see if there's any way you were responsible. But the thing to avoid is blame. And certainly I think with guys, the toughest thing to do, and it's ego, isn't it? that kills us, that gets us. Ego stops us. Ego makes us want to have the last word. Ego makes us need to feel we're right, and show physical aggression. And of course, in a, say it's a straight relationship, in a house, say with a wife and kids, to be physically aggressive and loud, you know, we might be able to do that and be intimidating, but that's actually what destroys the family, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think you're right with the ego thing. Like I've known a few people over my time that they would you could put a black piece of paper in front of them and they would argue it's green. So you know what I mean? It doesn't make no difference, but they say they have to be right. And I think sometimes just letting yourself be vulnerable a little bit, you know, is a big positive. It's like the old strong but silent type rubbish, you know. Like nah, just you can be strong and talk up, you know.
Yeah, and the whole toxic masculinity thing, we're certainly each their own, but we're really about the opposite of that, saying as we go through our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, each stage of life, every man's life is different. Parenting takes a piece, yeah. Your being married and relationship takes a piece, career, finances, looking after parents, all of that. And if you can't see it, if you're listening to this, my hands are kind of taking a piece, and what's left is not very much. And that's where the challenge lies with guys. So the perfect storm of boys, man up, boys don't cry, and all these challenges, and getting used to being the provider and the shelter and saying yes. I think it's setting boundaries and really like feeling that it's okay to do that. And for us as men and as men support organizations and content providers, being there to provide a space physically or online or both, and programs, and really kind of creating this space, not just in London or the UK, but globally, and letting the conversation happen. And I see us as a place where guys can come in, leave their facade outside, and almost sort of come in, be themselves, be vulnerable, and start having these open conversations, which they can almost then, you know, leave the metaphorical door and then put that strong facade up. But actually, the goal for us is for them to be more vulnerable and develop more strength by becoming more vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously there's a big thing around all this stuff at the moment, in there, with social media and stuff like that. And I think one of our battles we're trying to achieve is being a man. If you want to be a traditional tough man and stuff like that, that's absolutely fine. You know, what we're just trying to do is just add a little bit onto your characteristics where you can answer the question, "How are you doing?" honestly. And that is literally it, you know, and just lend an empathetic ear every now and again. It
Remember
doesn't
that
have to.
campaign, ask him twice?
Yeah.
What you said is that it's almost, sorry to interrupt, but I make a habit now of saying, right, tune in, expect to be present, look at their eyes, look at the vibe, and don't go by the banter, and actually pause. Obviously, this is if it's that kind of environment, and do really try and check in. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. It's I think when any man thinking about talking about his mental health or being vulnerable or anything like that, they feel like their whole characteristics, their personality, who they are changes. And it's not the case, you know, like you can still be you, but maybe a slightly nicer version and one that listens a bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's not that much.
You end up taking the pressure off yourself, and you know, you might even find that you connect better with your kids, and you might find that, oh, surprise, surprise, when you develop your emotional side and sensitivity and you add that to your masculinity, that strengthens and rounds that out. But oh, guess what? You get on better with your wife or your partner.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously the thing where men feel they need to be strong and tough and silent and not talk about stuff, that will make you weaker if you talk about anything like that. Ironically enough, it actually makes you 10 times stronger than you've ever been if you open up and be honest and don't care what people think about you. Do you know what I mean? Or how you're feeling. What's that to anybody else? If you're feeling rubbish and you want to talk about that, talk about it. If you're feeling happy, talk about it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the points are all well made, and guys talking about things that matter should never end. But so I'll tell you what we've got available based on my story, and then but I'd like you to go first. So you said earlier, tell us a bit about Proper Blokes Club, and also what if there isn't one in someone's area, and what about outside the UK? Tell us a bit about that.
So yeah, so for ones that we don't have in their area, obviously the mission we've got now is over the next 2 years to have a walk in every London borough. So anyone that contacts me from any part of London, they say to me, Scott, I live here, and I can say, right, you've got this available. Like I want to make sure that every Londoner has this ready for them. Because our public transport system is really good when it works. And I want it to be a case where within 20 minutes you can be able to walk from where you live. That's the plan. The longer plan, and probably answers your other question, ones that are further afield. We do have messages from guys that wants, like, because obviously with social media, like, that gives you such a big reach, So obviously we have messages with people from Newcastle, Scotland, Brighton, Manchester, Birmingham. Is there one here? Is there one there? There's one there. And there's one part of my brain that says, no, there isn't. Let's start one now. and then there's another part of my brain that says, Scott, calm down a little bit. There's only one of you. And you can't do it all at the moment. But yeah, the longer term vision is to have walks in every big city around the UK, because the model's proven to work, and the need for it across the country is massive. I feel like there's a massive gap in the services. There seems to be quite a bit. I don't know where you're based, but quite a bit of stuff for people that have severe mental health issues during the day because they can't work or whatever it may be. But just for the everyday bloke, who's going to work and doing whatever, and he has that work stress, that money stress, that relationship pressure. We're not looking at it as, I hate mental health issues. That's normal. That's absolutely fine. You know what I mean? But yeah, deal with it. Yeah, we all do that. Deal with it. It's all rubbish. You know what I mean? Because eventually you will end up in that scenario out of work, having more severe mental health issues.
Normal suffering.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Short. Yeah, we're not here to take a beating. So, okay, that's great. Well, so for right now, your focus is on London, but obviously, I want to work with you more closely, and anywhere I can connect you to help you scale this or get some advice, then I'll be happy to do that. And so that's wonderful. And they can find you. What's the best place to find you?
I always just tell people to just type the Proper Blokes Club in their search engine, whatever that's Google or Jeeves if he's still about. I don't know, but you'll find our website, all our social media pages, photos, videos, a lot. And on those pages, every single way you can contact me, phone, email, socials, whatever you want to do.
Wonderful, great. Well, the other thing, we'd love this to be shared in your community, is my story is based on a 20-year, and this is not about me, but in terms of adding value to guys, 20-year journey of transforming myself, figuring my own way out, struggling through. So who you're meeting now is completely different to the person you'd have met 20 years ago, probably 2 years ago. So I've put that together in a package called Transformation X-Ray, and I walk guys through from feeling disempowered, feeling closed up, struggling and whatever they're going through. Enoughstress.com. If they go to enoughstress.com, you can download it. I'll show you what I did on the 14th of May 2019 when I was at my kind of lowest. I'll show you what I did, and then there's a step-by-step color sort of fill in the blanks process to help you go through. And there's even a Spotify playlist to keep you going when no one's around. So that will get you going on the process. And we just got lots of programs and stuff coming up the stream. But certainly for anyone in your community, Scott, we'd love to help, and they can get that from enoughstress.com.